Today we have a 2025 Mercedes-AMG GLE 63 S Coupe. In this video, I'll talk about what this thing is, how I feel about the interior space, and what it's like to drive it. So there are SUVs that make sense, like a Toyota RAV4. It's practical, reliable, and somewhat affordable. Then there are SUVs that make a little less sense, like a Cadillac Escalade. I mean, there are better choices, but I still understand why you would get one. And then there are SUVs that make zero sense, like our today's hero, the Mercedes-AMG GLE 63 S Coupe, which is a coupe SUV with over 600 horsepower and a curb weight of 5,500 pounds. Now, I know it doesn't sound super exciting, but this thing is actually pretty impressive, and we're going to talk about that in the driving impressions. First, let's talk about what this thing is, starting with the powertrain. Now, unlike in the C-Class or the GLC, 63 in the GLE still means that we get a good old 4-liter twin-turbo V8, which makes 603 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque. Typically, for a modern AMG product, the power is transferred to all wheels via a 9-speed multi-clutch transmission, and since this is a mild hybrid, there's a 21 horsepower electric motor that sits between the engine and the transmission, mainly to improve the fuel economy. The torque distribution obviously varies depending on the driving conditions, but it is a rear-biased system with an e-LSD at the rear axle. Now, the AMG variant obviously received bigger brakes with fixed 6-piston front calipers and a floating single-piston caliper in the back, so something we see in many performance vehicles. Obviously, carbon ceramics are available and they cost $5,500. The GLE 63 also received a reaching suspension, which, just like in the case of other GLEs, is a double wishbone construction front and back, but here AMG added adaptive dampers, air springs, and active stabilizers to make this thing feel as much as a performance car as possible and give you a lot of flexibility. Sporty and good handling when you want it, and super comfortable and floaty when you need it to be. Now, before we talk what it's like to drive the GLE 63 on our favorite back road, let's take a look inside and talk about the interior space. Okay, inside the Mercedes GLE 63S. Now, this design has been around for quite some time, and the facelift in 2023 didn't change much, so when you look at this cabin compared to a BMW X5 or an X6, well, it's a little behind, but there's something good about it. The older design means we still get a decent amount of physical controls, unlike in recent Mercedes products, and besides those stupid haptic controls on the steering wheel, the overall ergonomics are good. What I also like about this cabin is that it's not dominated by screens. Right in front of us, we have a super customizable gauge cluster, which allows us to change the design of the gauges and can show a variety of information, such as a vehicle data or a full screen map. To the side, we have an infotainment display, which runs previous generation MBUX, and while the interface looks dated and it takes a second to learn what it can do, it is somewhat logical and not overwhelming. One thing that doesn't feel dated though is the Burmester 3D audio setup, which is great. It produces a nice, warm sound, and it's just shy of Bowers & Wilkins in BMWs or Volvos. But back to the cabin. The overall feel is pretty good. We have a lot of different color combinations we can choose from, and for the most part, the materials and build quality are great. There are still some plastic elements that feel a little cheap from the price point perspective, but they're not offensive. From a practical point of view, the Benz is okay. Not class leading, but you get an okay storage in the center console, the door pockets are fine, and the trunk is actually pretty impressive despite a sloping roofline which compromises the space from the floor to the roof. The front seats are incredible. The seating position is a little bit too high even for a performance SUV, but the seats themselves are super comfortable. They offer great support thanks to adjustable bolsters, and the massage function is pretty effective. Moving to the back, the second row offers a decent amount of room and is very comfortable. However, there are some compromises due to the sloping roofline, and it feels a little bit claustrophobic. I mean, being 6'1", I have no issues fitting behind myself, but I did feel a little cramped. Well, that was the cabin of the Mercedes GLE 63 AMG, so let's get it on the road now and see how it drives. Okay, driving the GLE 63 S Coupe, something that on paper doesn't make much sense, but you know what, let's give it a chance and see how it does on our favorite back road. Let's put it into the most aggressive race mode. I love the fact that we have a dial here on the steering wheel to change the drive mode, and we also have a physical switch. We can put the transmission into manual mode, do a couple of downshifts. They're not super fast, but let's see how it does. It definitely feels like it has more than 600 horsepower. Mercedes isn't lying here. That 4-liter twin-turbo V8 delivers power super smoothly in a linear fashion, and I really like it. Maybe not as much as the 4.4 from BMW M, but still, it's a very nice unit. I said the transmission maybe isn't that fast with downshifts, but it's quick to upshift. It has also good logic in automatic mode, so no complaints in that field. As we go through corners, we can tell that the car really nicely rotates under braking. It rotates under acceleration, and from a driving dynamics standpoint, I am really impressed. Even the steering gives us a little bit of feedback, which is also something that I did not expect. Now, the car doesn't have rear-wheel steering system like a GLC 63 does, but you know what? That's good, because that way the car feels a little bit more natural. Yeah, I'm actually shocked how fast I can attack those corners here. I did not expect that from a 5,500-pound SUV. You can obviously still feel its weight. There's still a good amount of body roll, but kudos to AMG, how they calibrated everything about this thing. The powertrain, the chassis. You can easily keep up with some sports cars. And this is like the max you're gonna use on public roads anyways, because nobody will ever take this to a racetrack or autocross. Now, while I do like how much confidence the brake inspire and how well they slow down this beast, I don't like how the brake pedal is calibrated. The first 2 inches, nothing happens, and then boom, we get full braking power. Doesn't matter if we're in race mode or comfort mode. You cannot really precisely modulate your braking power, so that's my only complaint. Now, even as the pavement is getting a little rougher here, I cannot still complain about how the car reacts to all those road imperfections. Doesn't feel overdamped whatsoever, like the GLC 43 did that we tested a couple of months ago. So yeah, wow, I'm truly impressed with this. I don't like the way it looks, but I do like the way it drives. It listens to all of your inputs, which I did not expect from a Mercedes. It obviously feels isolated like an AMG SUV would, but wow, really impressed with this. Alrighty, let's slow down, put it into comfort mode, transmission into drive, and talk about what it's like to drive on a daily basis. Well, maybe it's not an S-Class levels of comfort, but it is super comfortable, and I would not mind dailing this on a daily basis. The suspension perfectly absorbs all the road imperfections, even with 22-inch rims that we have installed on our tester. The cabin is very quiet, but we don't get laminated side windows. For some reason, it's an option, even though we have a fully loaded model that costs $160,000. I know Mercedes does a lot of a la carte style options. That's the case with BMW and Porsche and Audi as well, but come on, we get a top of the line car that doesn't even come standard with adaptive cruise control. You can get it as an option. Toyota Corolla has it standard, Honda Civic does as well, but not a car or an SUV that starts at $132,000. So that's your typical Mercedes for you. They've always done it, and I have a feeling they will keep on doing that. But from a daily driving perspective, this thing is amazing. I really like the driving position. We have pretty good visibility besides looking out back, but that's your typical coupe SUV, which is questionable and makes no sense to me, but I guess clients are buying it. On top of that, we have a very good technology, still older design, but it works. We have good amount of physical controls. So yeah, living with this thing is great. So let's head into the final thoughts and summarize it. Okay, summing up the GLE 63 S Coupe. I'll be completely honest with you guys. When I first saw it, I was like, this is ugly as hell and there's no way in the world this is gonna be fun to drive. But little did I know. I dailied it for a week. I took it to our favorite back road, and as you could tell in the driving impressions, I was really impressed. It handles like a sports car. It's super fast, but at the same time, it's very comfortable as a daily and it is practical. Now, if it was my money, I would get the GLE SUV instead of the coupe variant, but at the same time, when we talk about $132,000 as a starting price and $160,000 as tested, I would just get two different cars, a dedicated sports car and a station wagon for my family. But let me know what you guys would do. If you guys have any questions also, don't forget to drop a comment. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you all later.